This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the world.
Arnold Hubach, Bitcoin cheerleader for Bitcoin Focus and Digital Nomad.
Table tennis, also known as ping pong, is a racket sport derived from tennis, but distinguished by its playing surface being a top or a stationary table, rather than the court on which players stand. When watching a table tennis match, sometimes it's easy to lose track of the ball. This is even truer when you watch professionals play the game. Do you know the fastest record of hitting the ball back and forth across the table is 3 times per second?
No.
You can wake me up in the middle of the night for a pupusa from Pupuseria Gaisi in El Salvador.
Yes.
Is it still possible to travel for a vacation being a digital nomad?
No.
West Vleteren is a brewery founded in 1838 at the Trappist Abbey of St. Sixtus in Vleteren, Belgium. Their best rated and very limited beer is the West Vleteren 12. Should they change the name of this award-winning beer to West Vleteren 21?
No.
Ludovico Einaudi is an Italian pianist and composer. Einaudi has composed the scores for a number of films and television productions, including This Is England, The Untouchables, and I'm Still Here. Have you ever had a chance to visit one of his concerts?
Yes.
Have you ever made an offline Lightning transaction?
No.
Do you sometimes wake up in the morning and forget which country you're currently in?
No.
Is there a better way to teach people about Bitcoin than making a board game about it?
No.
Is it true that you've spent more time in El Salvador than the Netherlands since Bitcoin is legal tender there?
Yes.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
Nope.
Welcome to the Connect the World weekly podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 76 of Connect the World. Steph, good to see you.
Hey, Edje.
Arnold. This show is made possible by BL3P. Thank you guys for helping us with our mission. And of course, if you want to help with our mission, then follow us on Twitter, subscribe at our YouTube channel, or if you have any questions at all, go to our Telegram group and you can ask us anything there. And of course, a donation is always welcome.
Соединим этот мир.
Good to
have you on the show.
Hey guys, good to see you.
Can you explain what a Bitcoin cheerleader is? Or what a Bitcoin cheerleader does, maybe?
Supporting every little bit of Bitcoin that happens all around the world by just talking about it, explaining, helping, whatever.
And all over the world then. So that's important, right?
Yeah, well, it's part of my life. So like wherever you see a bit of Bitcoin, just go there, talk about it.
Do you know how many countries you visited in your Bitcoin journey? So countries that you have visited, especially because Bitcoin is happening there.
I think 4 or 5 in total.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many are on the list still?
Oh, many.
And this is growing, I can imagine.
Like the Bitcoin economies pop up and like all across the world.
That's right.
So you can't keep up with it.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Yeah,
it's a real great thing. And I saw you. We asked you about Ludovico Einaudi. He's a composer, and I think for me he's one of the best pianists out there. And I really enjoy his music. You had a chance to visit one of his concerts. Was it the one in Eindhoven or?
No, it was in the concert hall in Amsterdam. I think 4 years ago. And actually, last month he was in Costa Rica, and I just happened to find out he was giving a concert there as well.
Oh, really?
Amazing.
But
All right.
it was 5 hours by bus, and I figured it out 2 days ahead, and it was just too much hassle. But If I would have been in the capital, I would have gone again.
Yeah.
100%.
And where was it held in Costa Rica? Was it also
In San
a concert
Jose.
hall? Or?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it was quite a small venue, but still, like, definitely worth it.
Yeah, man, great.
And
Yeah, I
you,
was
Steph,
in-
did you see it in Eindhoven then?
Yeah, I was in Eindhoven because the show in Amsterdam was already
Yeah.
sold out. So
I've-
I really wanted to go to the one in Amsterdam, but
I think we didn't go to the same because I also went to Eindhoven, but it was together with the Amsterdam Sinfonietta. So it was a violist composers there making music, classic music, and then Einaudi within their music. That was really great. It was a synergy that's amazing, and it's interesting because there are a lot of classical people that don't find Einaudi a classic pianist, right? So
It's very minimalistic.
Yeah, it is.
And that makes it
is.
magical. But yeah, you have to like
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, and experiencing it live, that's even more magical, really. Yeah, amazing.
I was in a time lapse series. That was
Okay.
when the album came out. I think it was in a time lapse. Yeah.
So only concerts
Only the
from
album
him.
showcase.
Yeah. Ah, that's also great, of course.
Yeah. That's also, it was, every time I see the man playing is amazing, man. So, and how come, Arnold, that you didn't have a offline lighting transaction yet?
Yeah.
Because,
I was thinking that I wanted to build the offline, like a 3D printed machine from Ben Ark, but then I missed some little pins, and then I started traveling, and then like couldn't find it. I've been looking in El Salvador for those pins actually, so it didn't work out.
And
then
you
I
mean
thought,
the
like,
point of sale thing,
yeah,
right?
So maybe that's only for receiving. I also got the Nostrica. I just happen to have it here, offline SAS card, and I also haven't used it yet. But yeah,
in time.
Yeah.
And you've built because that's what we saw on your Twitter account, of course, the ATM, right? The coin.
Lightning ATM. Yeah, it was like a couple of years ago when Lightning was just getting some traction.
Yeah.
I think it was during lockdown as well. And actually I graduated as a product designer, so I love to make things.
Yeah.
Before I started to do all the Bitcoin stuff. And this was like a nice hobby project to use all the open source stuff out there and build it.
Well, like as a product designer, you must like Ben Ark a lot because it's all about experimenting and building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
And you're now in El Salvador, actually. What brought you here again? Because it's not the first time you're in this country, obviously. But what brought you here now?
There's so many exciting things going on, and I think the main thing that brings me back are the people, both the locals, but also all the other Bitcoin cheerleaders that move here, like build a living, or there's so many small things organized from meetups to like gatherings or just.
But do you see a big increase in people living going to live in moving to El Salvador because they are a Bitcoiner?
Yeah, more and more. Like I've spoken to so many people that came to try it for like 1 or 2 months, and then they're sold and they just go back home once more and then move here permanently. And not only like solo travelers or people on its own, but whole families move here as well. And it's quite fascinating to see. Everyone has like the same goal of having some kind of freedom here.
And also an increase of locals that are at those same gatherings or get-togethers. Because that's the goal of adopting Bitcoin, right? The conference that more local people get enthusiastic about Bitcoin and Lightning.
Yeah, I was at the meetup last week from my first Bitcoin, and there were many developers from the development program. I think it's called Subo Plus. Yeah. And they all came to the meetups as well. And yeah, somehow you have to engage everyone in the whole movement, and it's definitely happening more and more.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you don't have plans to move there permanently? Or
no,
perhaps?
Although it feels like a second home, but I like exploring the world more than settling in El Salvador, I think.
And what will be your next step? Your next hop?
Next hop. Oh, I'm going to Seattle first to meet a friend And after that, I really want to go to Nostrasia in Japan for the Nostra conference in November. So likely I'll go to Asia again after
perfect.
a summer break back home in the Netherlands.
Yeah, the Netherlands.
To your roots.
Cool, man. Really cool. Yeah, really. And maybe, you're obviously a Bitcoin cheerleader, but you also are a writer for Bitcoin Magazine, the Dutch version. And you're one of the fathers of Bitcoin Focus. Can you maybe tell in a nutshell what you're doing there and what those two platforms are about?
Yeah, so to start with the beginning, I graduated as a product designer in 2019. Yeah, right before the lockdowns and stuff happened.
Yeah.
And from then, day one, second one, I wanted to do something in the Bitcoin space. So I continued writing for Bitcoin Magazine.nl, where I was freelancing. And along the way, do many more Bitcoin related things, from translating books to like courses or lectures and stuff like that. And then I think 1.5 years ago, we came up with the same colleagues, Robin and Wessel, to make Bitcoin Focus, which is more in-depth than the quick news, which Bitcoin Magazine is, but more in-depth interviews, like focus really on Bitcoin instead of the price and everything that's happening around it from day-to-day basis. And so from there, I'm the co-founder and still Bitcoin cheerleading.
Yeah, of course.
Cool, man.
Great.
Hey, we have a lot of questions about those projects, but obviously we really want to know all your experiences with visiting all the great communities we have. But it has to be in the 21 minutes. So if you're ready, we would really like to enter that part.
Let's go. Yeah,
let's do it.
Let's do it.
Conectează lumea.
Well, as you've stated before, you've been to a lot of different parts of the world to see the adoption of Bitcoin with your own eyes. Can you share maybe any particular transformative experience you've had while documenting the adoption of Bitcoin around the world? Maybe one that stood up in your memories?
Yeah, so maybe good to start with the places I've been. So Bitcoin Beach, El Zonte, Bitcoin Jungle in Costa Rica, Bitcoin Island in the Philippines, and Bitcoin Lake in Guatemala. So actually the thing that I remember the most, that in every place, the use case is slightly different, or the whole perception around the project is different. It all sounds like Bitcoin circular economies, but when you are there, you see that the specific niche that Bitcoin is like helping with is like not comparable to the other place. And it's like this big monster that Bitcoin has like some purpose, different purposes in different places in the world.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, because the places you've been are, most of them are emerging countries, but yet there's still differences in perspective, because you would expect that from comparing the Netherlands with, for instance, El Salvador. But even when you compare those emerging markets, you also see that difference.
Yeah, definitely. So, for example, in the Philippines, what people are doing there, they use Bitcoin 100% as a payment method, and they don't even see the logo, the name, the currency valuation, or whatever. They just see peso and they use Lightning as a payment rail, which is so different than, for example, here in El Zonte, where people really have like a Bitcoin balance and a dollar balance, or even like Bitcoin only. And they say Bitcoin accepted instead of like this pouch wallet accepted. So, very different. Besides like how the countries and the locations are very different as well.
Yeah, and you also are a documentary maker, a filmmaker, you can say, because you made a great documentary about Bitcoin Island in the Philippines. And in your documentaries, you often interact with locals and try to capture their views on Bitcoin. How has this shaped your own perspective on its global adoption?
Well, I wouldn't call myself a documentary maker. Like, I am on places where it's Bitcoin and then I want to share it with everyone. So I just start recording, and like, luckily we have some following with Bitcoin Focus now. So like, that's first of all. Secondly, what I've really seen is that I think in the Bitcoin community, we focus too much on like the technical part. Like, let's improve it, like the user experience, this and that. But the real difference has to be made in education. Like, we can try to make apps better and more user-friendly with onboarding, but if you talk with the locals, they need first like 10 steps of education before they are going to start with a wallet at all. So I think it's great that we want it all to improve, but there has to be so much more to be done that's not behind the screen with developing and coding and onboarding.
And it's funny that you say this, because we also talked to Max, who is a filmmaker, last week, and he says exactly the same. And he's also a digital nomad, also traveling to all these different communities. And was
it the same meetup
exactly
last week?
Same, yeah, but he tells exactly the same thing. So I think that the people who are building stuff within the Lightning space really have to listen and sit down with you guys, because you really had boots on the ground, and you guys are really getting the experiences from the locals that are most important.
Yeah, and you see the challenges of all those places, because also regulations are different in those places, right? So there are some things that are easier to build. So from a technical perspective, from developers side of it, do you think that making things more user-friendly is not enough if you don't do more education and better education on Bitcoin?
Well, definitely there are more things to be done technical-wise. So what you mentioned with the regulations, in the Philippines, there is like a moratorium on licenses for crypto exchanges. So they are not allowed to convert or like have two balances and be like kind of an exchange. So what they do is custodial Bitcoin app with only the peso balance. So if you want to do it better, make a non-custodial Taro stablecoin, like on top of Taro Taproot assets, which makes eventually the app better because it's non-custodial, but it still doesn't solve the whole problem with, do the people on the ground really know what it is and like what they can do with it?
Yeah.
And I think that step has to be made first, because we can see the real benefits of having an app that's very useful.
So before the actual onboarding, this is needed, you think? Yeah,
like if you talk with locals and you ask what it is, they have no idea. Like some of them don't even have like a Facebook account because they don't know how technical. It's too technical for them.
Yeah.
Like we tend to forget that. so like just download an app and start using it is already, like we are a bit biased, I think.
Yeah. And from our perspective, Steph, it's really strange that you see those countries that could really benefit from it, and they just can't start if they don't understand it more. So that's
and even here in El Salvador, for example, I went to, like I buy a lot with Bitcoin here. I went to a place last week where they accepted Chivo. And then first they say you can only pay from Chivo to Chivo, but I don't have Chivo because I'm not El Salvadorian. And then I tried to explain it. Then they show me an on-chain QR code. It's like, can I please pay with Lightning? What is Lightning? and then you show them what the Lightning part is. And then, here you can make an invoice as Canon and it works. But then you already like 3 steps further in like this first education part before you really can do the payment you want. And that's already at the place that wants to accept Bitcoin, you know? So we make it very complicated. I know it is how it is, but there are many steps before someone really has the workflow. And then you explain it, and there's another merchant that didn't have this explanation yet, or a colleague or whatever person that works at the same company is like, you have to tell it all over again the next day.
Can you maybe describe some more challenges you face when explaining or reporting a complex topic like Bitcoin or Lightning to those diverse audiences? Because, we have people listening that are really building the software, so maybe they can get some inspiration out of it.
That's a good point. I was actually thinking about how personally I have the answers now because I've been doing it for a while. But with Nostr, for example, you have to do it all over again. So you feel like, wait, I tried to explain it to someone. I'm using words like protocol and like relays. Like, no, we need simpler terminology. So even things like an invoice, a Lightning invoice, is Bitcoin the same as Lightning or 2 different things? Like, can I pay with Lightning? It's already confusing. If you finally think you know Bitcoin, then you start to use the word Lightning It's like, wait, what's
explaining a payment rail or a layer. That's very difficult to grasp if you're not into the subject, right? So that's
I know like the wallets are doing all their best to make it better, but then, for example, here in El Salvador, I know that many people are using the Moon wallet because of the My First Bitcoin classes. They educate many people here. Then the fees go high, and like Moon is very intuitive. Like it just has one balance, no problem with liquidity and channels. Then we have this like round about to make it very intuitive. The fees go up, and like every payment with Moon is expensive, so all the education is done for nothing. Like you have to change to a different wallet. And like it works until it doesn't work, and then you have to explain all the way again that it's only like good for a while. Because like Moon, I couldn't use it here. I had to pay like $1 fee on a $5 Lightning payment. And then you finally have the people here their own non-custodial wallet, and then it doesn't work anymore. But like, there you are.
Yeah. Important.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And you've discussed already some difficulties that exist. And can you maybe discuss any particular challenges or setbacks communities have faced in implementing the Lightning Network? So implementing it in the community, besides education, of course. Are there any other setbacks that they needed to overcome? So every community is very different. Like what I said, in the Philippines, I just see it as an alternative for payments apps, and they don't even see that it's Lightning and it's all based on account numbers and a QR code, which is, I don't think, called an invoice. I still think that static invoices is the big problem, because every app does it a little bit different. Like the Bitcoin Beach wallet, Blink, has this QR code, but sometimes with some wallets you scan it, it doesn't work. So you first have to scan it with your normal camera, then it opens in the browser, and from there you can do the Lightning payment. And then there is Moon, who doesn't do all the LN URL stuff, like not everything. So you scan something, it says like LN URL withdrawal problem. It's like, what does it actually mean? So we are moving towards better solutions with a static QR code, but it's not there yet. And I know we're working on build 12 and everyone's like trying to implement that. So hopefully that will be resolved, but this is quite of a hassle right now. Just with all the merchants, like if you sell pupusas on the street, you just want to have one QR code, you can scan it, and that's it. But then I have to prove that I paid, because like it's only on my phone. So like I'm gonna scan this QR code, pay like $1 for like some ice cream, and then I have to show it on my wallet where I have like a euro balance and Satoshis. So I can't even prove I sent $1. And like there's so many extra things that I have to prove that I paid instead of just a simple static.
There's a merchant that has to trust you, that you display the right information, right?
So that simple point of sale solution, or maybe the solution, the offline solution, could be interesting, but then make it as cheap as possible, of course, because printing a QR code is the most easy thing for them to do, of course.
What impact do you believe the Lightning Network has on the daily use and acceptance of Bitcoin, based on your observations during your trips in El Salvador and the Philippines?
Oh, it's incredibly important, and moving everything so much more in the right direction that I think I only paid like once or twice with on-chain payments now, and I think I did 50 payments so far in 3 weeks, and it's all Lightning. And like Lightning is the standard, like obviously. So it is quite clear that of course Lightning is the way to go. But like it's really, if you really use it, you see that it makes sense. And also for me, as a personal experience as a digital nomad in many countries, you meet many people that you do trips with. It's like, at the end of the month, you have to settle up with people from Brazil, from Cambodia, whatever. You just let them download a wallet and you send some sats over Lightning, and they understand it right away.
That's the beauty of it. So it really makes a difference. And what are the primary advantages and challenges you've seen with the use of the Lightning Network, for example, in Boracay, particularly in relation to other payment systems like Gcash?
Yeah, so in the Philippines, there is a lot of competition with payment methods. There's Gcash, Maya, and more of those things that really work within the Philippines. And it's just like you're sending from one app to another. There's no Bitcoin involved. It's an internal database. So for them, it works. It's not a bank account, but it's like the fintech companies. So that's what Lightning has to compete with. And these are companies with big marketing budgets. So if you arrive on the airport in Malay, near Boracay, you see all these big billboards with these payment companies that are promoting their payment app. And then you think, like, how is Lightning ever going to compete with that? And where is the marketing budget going to come from? Like, we all know it works, but for internal payments, it's not necessarily better because, like, app to app is cheap, it's free.
Mm-hmm.
But interconnecting it with the world, that's where the real use case is. But then we still need, like, the whole marketing. Like, people should be using it instead of this local alternative that works for them.
Yeah. Because how do you describe the adoption of the Lightning Network now, and how is it utilized in Boracay, the Philippines? As you've observed yourself, the Lightning Network competing with all those other options? Yeah,
so then you have to start to compare it with international payments. So like within the Philippines, it works okay-ish, not perfect. Like people cannot get a bank account so easily, but if you start comparing Lightning with, for example, a normal cash withdrawal, which costs me 6.5% just to get peso out of the ATM, and I pay the same thing from my Lightning wallet to a peso balance app, it's free.
Yeah.
So I am saving almost 7% on every purchase I do, which means I can spend 7% more in the economy, in the local economy. So it's, yeah, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
So it's both ways. It's better for the merchant, but also for you, because you can spend more in the economy and it costs you less.
Exactly.
So
and then
so
for the receiver, they don't even have to see the Bitcoin logo, the Bitcoin balance. They just receive it into a peso app, and that's it. And it's beneficial for them and for me.
Yeah, and the question was, how would you describe the adoption of the Lightning Network in Boracay now?
So is it used a lot, or for regular groceries, or?
Not by the locals. So it's really people coming from outside of the Philippines going to this touristy place to spend whatever they want. But then again, like once you are Filipino, within the country, you don't even need Lightning, because you just all have the same pouch app and you go from pouch to pouch. That's custodial. There's not even like a Lightning payment going on.
No.
And then even like the alternatives like Gcash, which works as well. So, yeah. Within the Philippines, not a big deal. No. Internationally, yes, but so much more potential.
Yeah.
And you said it already, like the people from outside of the country. Does the Lightning Network influence a lot in Boracay to have more tourism for people who want to see it for their own eyes? Do you think there's more tourism now thanks to Bitcoin Island?
Yeah, but just a couple of people. Like I went to meetups, there are 20 Bitcoiners, and that's it. It's very different compared to El Salvador, where people are really moving here.
Yeah.
The big difference is that it's also good for remittances. And I think there's like $38 billion sent to the Philippines every year, which you cannot really see. Like tourism, you can like physically see, like there are people coming.
See the people.
But for a remittance payment, you need two nodes, a sender and a receiver, and everything else you don't need. Like you can really track it. You can really have it visible. So it is used. It can be used a lot, but we won't really see the impact in like social media and like cool pictures and Bitcoin meetups and whatever. And it's also a totally different way of scaling it, because with a circular economy, you need person A paying to B, and he wants to spend it to C, and like it's a whole network. And with remittances, you just need A and B, And if there is like C and D, then I have to connect it to A and B, which makes it already valuable for 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
And did you also experience some other challenges in Boracay? For example, internet connectivity or other things that affect the use of the Lightning Network?
Yeah, like the Wi-Fi or like 4G data was not always the best. I've been in more than 30 countries now, and I think Boracay was one of the worst places where I've been in terms of the internet, maybe
really?
Besides rural Costa Rica.
That's why we asked it.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
man.
if you are like going to a bar on the coastline, you are like basically sitting on the beach, you're already almost too far out of the island because you go towards the sea. So you need like to ask for the Wi-Fi password, or it's so slow that you just wait for a minute for somehow like the pre-image and all the lightning information to be sent. Eventually it worked all the time, but it's definitely not optimal. I could have paid 20 times with cash already, and it's like done.
Okay. So there's some work to do then.
Yeah, for offline payments like that. Yeah, that's important. Yeah, and you also went to the first Nostr conference, like it's called, Nostrica in Costa Rica. How did you start using Nostr in the first place, and why did you want to attend this conference?
I think I started using it December 2022, like right when everyone was getting into it after like the first grants and Jack Dorsey, Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
But just a little bit before that. And well, I'm traveling anyway. I'm a Bitcoin geek. So I was like, I want to go to El Salvador.
Perfect combination.
Actually, Guatemala with Bitcoin Lake is also on my list. So let's just go to Panama and then work my way up to the north. So I made a stop at Bitcoin Jungle where the conference was. And a big fan
you
since
wrote
then, like even
an
more.
intense article of everything that you experienced there.
Like that's the thing. Like, sometimes you feel you're at those places where people want to know how it is, whether it's the Bitcoin economy or Nostrica, or you want to write it down, you want to share it. And maybe I'm also a Nostr cheerleader now.
Well, what is in your opinion the most important relation between Bitcoin and Lightning and Nostr?
Freedom. That's it. Freedom of
Absolute
speech, freedom of money. And like there's a lot to talk about with the technology behind it and how it works and how it has to be improved. But it just gives everyone a tool to like have freedom over whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
And well, this is, of course, Nostr is very important to have freedom. What is required to introduce more people to Nostr instead of only Bitcoiners?
Oh, it's a very difficult question because there are many Bitcoiners on Nostr. Yeah. And if you want to bring a non-Bitcoiner, there's this echo chamber of Bitcoiners talking about what they like. So I think it's very important to have this Grow Nostr initiative. Like, let's talk about more than Bitcoin and more than this small group, which would eventually like welcome everyone.
And the channels to talk about particular subjects or something, because the integration in on websites for communicating on a chat basis is great. It's a great use case. So
And one other thing is like you need to know how to find your friends, because right now you can only really do it through following someone else, and then you're already in someone else's bubble, and you don't want that. You want to have your own. Yeah, that's right. Some kind of account exploration.
Yeah, because otherwise we're only following Jack or then you're inside a bubble.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Arnold. Yeah, we had a couple of extra questions, of course, about Lightning, but you travel a lot, so I think it's great to have you back on the show one day. So that would be awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Well,
we have one question left for you, Arnold, and you may choose yourself. We have a question prepared from Oscar from Fountain.app, from Ton Kunen, he's from Lightning Checkout, he's a fellow Dutchie, and from Jesse de Wit, also a fellow Dutchie, from Breeze Technology.
I'll go for the question from Ton, because he works on Bitcoin Focus too.
Perfect, great match.
All right, here it comes.
Tom here from Lightning Checkout. I want to ask you the following question. Bolt 12 is already implemented in Core Lightning. Currently, also Lightning Labs is working on the implementation. Do you think Bolt 12 is a good development for the Lightning Network?
Well, a perfect question. because like this is one of the key problems in this circular Bitcoin economy. Is like, how can we make non-custodial kind of key send wallets? Yeah, that's it. Bolt 12, we need it, and I hope more wallets, or like, I know that Core Lightning has integrated it. There are some Core Lightning wallets that have it, but it's really time to have all wallets to have it, from like Phoenix up to whatever.
Do you think it's just a matter of time? In the end, they will implement it too?
Yeah, pretty sure, because it makes apps so much better. And
it is.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Then we could do subscriptions, Steph.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Conecta el mundo.
Yeah, really nice to talk to you, Arnold.
Yeah, it was.
And really, really love to hear all the news from all around the globe, and especially, you talk to all the people who are also being part of our show, obviously. So it's very nice to talk to you about it.
Thanks for having me.
Where can people follow you, man? Can you maybe share your Twitter and all?
Yeah, I would say my Twitter and on Noster. So my Twitter is Starnold with ST4, number 4, Nold.
Yeah.
I should make it easier, maybe. So, or Arnold Hubach is my full name. You'll find it with a little lightning icon. And on Nostr, it's Starnold at bitcoinfocus.nl, which is my Nippo 5.
Awesome.
Perfect.
And for people who are on your Twitter account, and you also have in your bio the board game that you made, the Bitcoin board game. Could be interesting.
Still working on it. Yeah, it's work in progress. Yeah. So education through like fun. Have fun being educated.
That's
perfect.
The perfect combination.
And this board game is also on Geyser, funding through Geyser, right? So where can people find it on Geyser? What's it called?
Block Hunters, the Bitcoin board game.
Okay.
So working on it like part-time whenever I find time to develop it further. Time to get to the real print files and
awesome
characters and design.
What's the time frame? What do you expect?
Oh, it's very hard because like the more you work on it, the more you want to improve it. So you should say like it's ready now, but then you feel like it should be a little bit better. Let's change the gameplay, and then you have to play it dozens of times again. So very hard to say.
I was immediately thinking about a no-coiner edition or something to play it with as a Bitcoiner with people who don't know Bitcoin, and then have fun about it and learn in the process.
That's exactly
that would be
how I see most people love the game. Like they're going to have questions, and then finally you can answer them.
Yeah.
Cool. Why do we run out of coins? Scarcity.
Can't we just print them? No, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
Okay, well, we keep an eye on the project too, man.
Yes, thanks.
Thanks again, Arnold.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks. And thanks for listening, and thanks to all members participating in the Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect world with us together. If you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world, so keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and rings burning. And see you all next week on this same Lightning channel. Au revoir, Arnold.
Later, Arnold.
Tot ziens.